Hello there, folks. I have a special episode for you today. Today is a triple feature. 3 number 3s. I've got Revenge of the Nerds, Part 3. The Neverending Story, Part 3. And Rambo 3. Anyway, the first movie up here, Revenge of the Nerds, Part 3. The Next Generation. The original Revenge of the Nerds, I do remember that one. I did see that one, and I thought it was kind of funny. It was a little goofy in its humor. Nerds versus jocks. The nerds, of course, being all the good guys, right? And they're all, even though they're all super weird in their own unique way, and they're all nerdy, and they're still the protagonists. And then you have your jocks, who are the antagonists, and they hate nerds, and they want to see nerds kicked off the campus, and make their lives hell, and just like bully them all the time. Revenge of the Nerds Part 3 is exactly the same. And it's called The Next Generation because one of the main characters from the first one, who does return in this, Louis Skolnick, he has a nephew that is going to be attending the same college and wants to get to the same fraternity that the nerds belonged to before. I believe it's the Lambda. So we have the nephew nerd and his friend. Then they meet a whole bunch of new nerds, including some actual female nerds this time around. And it turns out at this point, this particular college has embraced the nerds. Like, nerds are running the place now. For a movie that's about college, you never once see anybody in a classroom or a lecture hall or anything like that, or even like the hallways of the university. You don't see any of that. I don't even know if there's any of it's filmed on a campus at all, or if it was like a couple of brief outdoor scenes. But yeah, it has like nothing to do with like actual education, just about fraternities, I guess, competing fraternities. Yeah, it's fucking stupid. It's Robert Carradine comes back as Louis Skolnick. Then you get Curtis Armstrong comes back as Booger, the character that I actually really found pretty funny in the first one. You also get Morton Downey Jr. in here. Anybody remember that guy? Morton Downey Jr. Is considered a pioneer in the field of trash TV, followed by like Jerry Springer and all them. Basically, he's a professional asshole. And so he plays an asshole in the movie. Yeah, I don't know. Overall, this is not very funny. It does have a little bit of a heartfelt message in the end about individuality and, don't worry about what others think about you. Just be the best you can be for yourself kind of thing. And I don't even think it's that deep. I think I'm making it sound better than it actually is. Yeah, no, Revenge of the Nerds Part 3, I'm going to give it a D+. Of the plus, just because Booger was in it. Now, the next movie I have is The Neverending Story Part 3. I don't know what to say about this. This is a terrible movie as well. Now, if you like The Neverending Story, Parts 1 and 2 anyway, you're really probably going to hate this. Basically, they're retelling the story and they're rearranging stuff and changing the characters and the situations and the whole rules of the world of Fantasia and that sort of thing. It's really dumb. I don't really care that much about the first Neverending Story because I found that a little bit boring. This one, well, it's not boring. It's just bad. Like, the creatures in here are, again, done by the Jim Henson's Creature Workshop. Yeah, they look okay, but they're just goofy, and they give them the stupidest voices. They're so annoying, especially the rock guy. In this one, he's got a wife and a kid, and they show him, like, he rides a rock motorcycle, tricycle or something, and he's got his kid mounted in a little seat on the front of it, and he pedals out of his rock lair, and he's singing Born to Be Wild. and it just goes on, and he sings like the first, like, 2 minutes of the song, and it's just so bad, and it's so pointless. It's an insult to Steppenwolf is what it is. Yeah, and then his son, the little baby rock guy, at one point gets trapped in the real world, and he's got the worst and most annoying voice. Like, mama, dada, blah, blah, blah. The plot is super stupid. The book, the Neverending Story, the book gets found by these bullies. Oh, that's the one good thing about this movie, is the bullies, or the leader of the bullies, Jack Black. I always like Jack Black. Not everything the guy does is hilarious, and this certainly, he's not exactly hilarious. He plays the leader of the bullies in this, and they're actually called the Nasties, which is the lamest name that you could give for your gang. They chase the lead character around, and they gain control of the book, the Neverending Story book, which creates all these fantastic situations and blah 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 and whatever. Anyway, Jack Black's okay in here. He's you can tell he's trying. Some of the other actors, they might be trying, but they're not getting anywhere. But Jack Black, I think it works because he's intentionally cheesy, and he knows it. I think he knew that going into this movie, that people are going to laugh at this, but whatever. Might as well be as extreme as I can. Yeah, so that's one good thing. But there's so much bad in this movie. The child actors are terrible. Even the side actors are terrible. The story makes no sense. It's totally ridiculous. The Fantasia characters, characters from the magical world, are I don't know, really stupid. Wasn't the dragon Falcor, the big white dog dragon thing or whatever? Wasn't he supposed to be all wise and or whatever in the first one? In this one, no, he's a bumbling idiot, and he just flops around in the sky and crashes into stuff, and he's a luck dragon, and oh, my luck's run out, and he's flies into a plane or something like that, and the effects are terrible, and overall this movie is pretty bad. I'm gonna also give this one a D+. D+, and that plus is only in there for Jack Black. Now, third one here. Oh boy. Rambo 3. Sylvester Stallone. This is the pinnacle, I think, of Sylvester Stallone's stardom. Now, you might disagree because he's made better movies than this, but I think this was probably the one that he got paid the most to be in, or this is probably the most expensive of the Rambo movies anyway. You might remember that there was a Rambo cartoon on TV just a couple of years previous to this movie. This movie is 1988. I believe the cartoon came out in 1986. Rambo and the Force of Freedom, or whatever it was called. Anyway, that cartoon was kind of notorious for being a military cartoon based on a character that basically murders people. But yeah, in that cartoon, Rambo's pretty tame. In this one, he's just as cheesy, and everybody's like, yay, Rambo, and all the kids love him and stuff, and one kid wants to go in and fight a war with him or whatever. In this one, Stallone is just, he's a puppet, and he's just there, and they just wave the Sylvester Stallone puppet around a bunch of times and blow stuff up, and tons of guns being fired, and you can't tell who's shooting who or who's who, or it's confusing, over the top, dumb, brainless action movie is what this is. But I suppose I should tell you what the plot is. Okay, Colonel Troutman, Rambo's colonel from back in the day in Vietnam, comes to Rambo with an offer to join him on his mission to Afghanistan. And Rambo's like, no, my war is over. I've already fought my war. How many more times are you going to ask me? So the colonel says, I'm sorry, Rambo. You're right, but I gotta go, so I'm going to go on this mission anyway. And so then the colonel immediately gets captured as soon as he, not killed, of course, but captured. and tortured and interrogated and whatever in Afghanistan by Russians. So, like, this all happens within like a minute. So then they have to go back and find Rambo and say, well, the colonel's been captured and we don't know what we're going to do. We, just thought you should know. And he's like, well, I'm going in. And so he has to go in and rescue him, of course. But it's like, he came to you, 5 minutes earlier in the movie, and he said, no, fuck that, I'm not going to war. But okay, his friend gets captured, so he's like, I'm the only one who can do this. It's such a stupid setup. Why don't you just start the movie with the guy coming to see Rambo and saying, hey, your commanding officer has been captured? No, why do you have to have that other scene in there? Anyway, it's really stupid, and Rambo has to sneak into the country, sneak into the military base, and rescue Colonel Troutman. Along the way, he allies himself with like a local Afghanis, and there's so many guns, so many guns and explosions, grenades, lots of crazy stuff in here. Of course, you have to have that one scene of Rambo gets hurt and he has to like tend to his wounds or whatever, because that happens in every movie. He's like, and the typical like Stallone wincing in pain. And in the very end, you get a ridiculous like tank versus helicopter battle, which Rambo comes out on top of course. And leads all the prisoners to freedom, and movie over. Yay, Rambo. This movie is just another huge cash grab. I mean, I'm not going to criticize, because I know that Stallone does like a lot of his own stunts, or at least he used to. And, his physical acting and, fighting or whatever in this movie is fine. And his acting is not terrible either. We all know that Sylvester Stallone can be a really good actor, but he's just not given anything to work with here. And I guess it's because they just want him to say all the simple, stupid lines. Like, this movie is, I think, the first place you ever hear that iconic line where he's talking on the radio to somebody, and they're like, who is this? And he's like, your worst nightmare. Listen, I liked First Blood a lot. I thought it was a great movie. And I thought Stallone's performance, even though he barely spoke in the whole movie, was great. Yeah, well, First Blood Part 2, I didn't really care for that very much, but it was a huge box office success. And even spawned the cartoon, of course, and then this movie as well. This one just feels like it's extra, Like there's no need for this movie to even be around. But I did actually appreciate Rambo 3 a little bit more than these other two movies. Just because it's like, I get a kick out of watching Sylvester Stallone acting badly, I guess. What would I give Rambo 3 overall? I'm thinking like a C minus. Because I could see that people would enjoy this. Not me, but, nobody will enjoy this. So yeah, it's a better quality movie than the other two, but only slightly more entertaining for me to watch. Some people say the third time's the charm, but not for these movies. No, these are all bad movies. You could call this a trilogy of terrible. So basically, once again, I've brought you some movies that I don't really recommend. Sorry. Why am I doing this? I don't know. Just to complain, I guess. So until next time, have a good one out there, everybody.